Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. We are going right on along here with our Player's Guide, still going through the Witch's spell lists, and today we are up to second level spells. Now, I gotta say, the Witch actually really starts to get a lot of really neat spells here. There's just a lot of things that work really well with the Witch class specifically, or are just really solid spells in general to have. So the list is a little bit longer this time around, but I will try to get through this in a timely and efficient fashion for you, hopefully still sort of entertaining and informative for you. So, with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into this now so that we save some time. Now, starting us off here at the list, we have Vomit Swarm. I love this spell. It is so thematically appropriate for the Witch class, and it's effective. And it works pretty much like the title says. Vomit Swarm. It lasts one round a level, and it starts off as a swarm of spiders. By 7th level, you start vomiting out swarms of wasps, and then a swarm of army ants at 13th level. You can direct them each round. They will automatically go for the target closest to you. If there's nobody nearby that is a threat or an enemy that you designate, they will go towards the closest one in a straight line. Absolutely incredible having your enemies swarmed constantly with these things. And since spiders, I'd say, you're vomiting venomous spiders, if you're hitting them with hexes and forcing them to either have to re-roll all their saves or giving them penalties on their saves, then they're going to be taking a fair amount of poison coming off of the spiders. Really, really, really handy to have. Then right after that, we have the Web spell. It affects a 20-foot radius and it lasts 10 minutes a level. Absolutely great duration to have there. So at level 2, you're getting an area of effect spell that tangles people up that lasts for 20 minutes total. And there's a reflex save to negate, which, there's plenty of creatures that'll be okay with that, but the thing that makes this really useful is that when they move through, it forces the target to make either a combat maneuver check or an escape artist check. Failing either of those makes the target gain the grappled condition. They're caught up in the strands of the sticky webbing. This provides cover for you as well. To what degree just depends on how much difference or how much distance there is, and it can be made permanent. Top it off, these things are also really flammable as well. So you hit this with a fire spell afterwards while the target's grappled. Target's really not going to be able to make a reflex save. They're going to start catching fire as well as taking fire damage from the burning webs. All around, really, really, really great to have in your arsenal. And then the next spell is Miserable Pity. This one is also just really fantastic, and I think it's thematically appropriate for certain versions or visions of witches or witch archetypes that you might have in your head. It's a will save to negate it. It lasts only one round a level, and 1 minute. There's an after effect that lasts for up to 1 minute. It works like the Sanctuary spell, preventing the target from being attacked because they just look so pitiful, helpless, non-threatening, and just kind of pathetic. It's only broken by attacking, and if you do attack, all the targets that failed their will saves against you get a +2 bonus on their attack rolls against you from that point on, as they realize how horribly they'd been deceived. But there's the trick right there. It's broken by attacking. You can keep using your hexes and screwing with everybody while this spell is going, and that's absolutely something incredibly useful for you. And by the way, I should mention that +2 bonus that the opponents get for attacking you, that's what will last for up to a minute afterwards. So for 60 rounds after attacking a target, anybody who had failed their will save on this spell gets that +2 bonus to hit you. So play smart. Don't just start attacking all willy-nilly. You're a squishy, you're not a fighter, you're certainly not a rogue. Stay out of the combat. And now we come to the next one, Glitter Dust. Glitter Dust is a fantastic spell, really, really useful all the way around. It has up to 100-foot range, goes out further the higher level you are, lasts 1 round a level, will save to negate it. This will blind targets in the area of effect. It'll blind your allies too, so use carefully. And it also outlines invisible creatures and leaves -40 to any stealth checks. So you're going to be screwing with rogues, rangers, anybody who's turned invisible, or any just creatures that are invisible. This will be great to have handy for you. Plus, since they're coated with this glittering, shiny dust, not only do you see it, but all your allies will see it as well. As long as you haven't blinded them in the process of using this damn thing. Then we come to blindness or deafness. Blindness, deafness, you pick one or the other to afflict your target with. And again, it's within 100 feet, adding 10 feet per level. Fortitude save negates on this one. And it permanently afflicts them with either blindness or deafness. Now, it can be removed with remove curse spells, wish, any sufficiently high enough magic. Anything that's written that says it will affect this spell or remove these conditions will work. Now, if you're going to use this, deafness isn't a bad one just because, you throw this down on spellcasters. Any spells they cast requiring verbal components, they're going to be taking some significant penalties on, having a higher miscast chance until they learn to overcome this new disability. Blindness, however, the blindness condition is fantastic and it works against a huge variety of creatures, and I think is the superior option because sure, the wizard, the sorcerer, whoever you cast this on, whatever kind of spellcaster you throw this down on, okay, sure, they can still cast their spells effectively or without any higher miscast chance, but they're not going to be able to direct where they go or find where they need to hit their targets anywhere near as readily. And in fact, any of these spellcasters that can remove this particular curse are probably going to take their turn or take an action, however long they need to take, to remove this from themselves. So they're having to get rid of this curse effect rather than afflicting any of your allies or your friends with any kind of damaging or debuffing spells that they may have. So again, really good one to have, and go with the blindness option almost every time. And now then we have Hold Person. Hold Person has a soft spot for me. 2 friends of mine that I've played with for a long time, they're brothers. One was pissing the other off, so his mage used Hold Person on him and had somebody else cut out his brother's character's kidney. Sounds horrific, but it was really hilarious at the time. Anyways, has a 100-foot range, and like the other spells above, add 10 feet per level for the effective range. Lasts 1 round a level and will save negates, like so many others for the witch. But if they fail, the target will be paralyzed and will not be able to move. They can still breathe, they're still aware of what's happening, but they're effectively immobile. And you can get some great uses out of this if you're a creature that's swimming or something that's flying, because then they get to plummet that distance down or start sinking helplessly into the watery depths. Absolutely a really, really great spell. Then, Mad Hallucinations, and this is one that I really like. It's thematic and flavorful and absolutely, again, appropriate for just about any witch character. It has only a 20-foot range, which is unfortunate. You really don't want to be getting close, especially if you're putting yourself in easy charge distance. But this still has a worthwhile effect. You target one humanoid creature. It lasts 5 minutes a level. 5 minutes a level. That is a long time to have this spell going, but will saves do negate. You make your target vividly hallucinate, giving them a -2 penalty on their will saving throws, caster level checks, and intelligence and wisdom based skills. This works really well on spellcasters, actually. The only drawback to using it on spellcasters is they typically have really solid will saves. But not a problem. You're a witch. Hit them with the misfortune hex to force them to constantly have to re-roll. this will be more likely to land and really wreak havoc on your enemy casters. On any character you throw this on, really, but that -2 to caster level checks really hurts spellcasters. Now, after Mad Hallucination, we come to another thematically appropriate spell for the Witch, and that is Pox Pustules. Has a 25-foot range. Again, I'm not a fan of the relatively short ranges there. It targets one creature and it lasts 1 minute per level. So for this is going to be lasting 2 minutes for you at level, or being a level 2 spellcaster. So, Fortitude saves negate. What this does is it inflicts a painful itching rash on the target. It gives them the sickened condition, and it gives them a -4 penalty to their dexterity score. So you're going to be dropping their defense by 2 points, reflex saves by 2 points, initiative by 2 points, down to minimums of 0. You can't take them down past 0 of just basic sense right there. Anyways, the thing is with this is that the target can take a move action to scratch away at that rash and remove their sickened condition. But that only lasts until the start of their next turn. The spell will keep going after they failed, even if they take that time to scratch away. And the thing is right there, remember the action economy episode. Using this spell on a fairly important target, you burn up their move action and leave them with only, well, with the other half of their actions. You're burning up how effective they are in combat by limiting their effectiveness through the game mechanics. So this is a really good spell to have. It's not as great as some of the others just because, again, that close range is kind of dicey for somebody as squishy as a witch, but still useful. And now the next spell I actually really like, but how useful it is just kind of depends on the team, how well the players are working together, how well the characters are working together, and depending on the campaign or the setting, or how your DM is running things, its effectiveness, the mileage you may get out of it will vary a little bit. But you can it's a touch range spell, but that's fine. You only need to affect your allies, and preferably before combat. And you can affect one target per 3 character levels. It lasts 1 hour at levels, so this is going to be lasting a couple hours pretty quickly. It's a will to negate if you want to. They should be readily accepting this spell. Any of your friends should take this willingly. You will automatically be aware of the distance to the target, the direction the target is in from you, and you will also be aware of their condition status. So if they become paralyzed, blinded, sickened, fatigued, any abnormal status anomalies will flare up for you. You'll be aware of how badly they're doing at any given time. So this is a really great and easy way for a team of players to stay in contact with each other. It's actually really ideal for you to cast this on your rogue or ranger, whoever is going out and scouting ahead, so that way you know if something is happening to them. Really good. Now, the next spell here, Feast of Ashes, is another one that is just, it's perfect for the witch. The archetype, this idea of this spellcaster who's gaining their powers or their abilities through some fell contract, some unknowable source of arcane energy, whatever the font of power it is they're drawing from. What this does is, again, 25-foot range, not great, and it only affects one creature, but it lasts 2 days a level. And fortitude saves do negate, but if they fail the initial one, this spell will take effect. And what this curse does is it afflicts your target with a unceasing, constant gnawing hunger. No amount of eating will actually fix or abate the hunger. It doesn't matter how much they can scarf down. They will still be hungry, and every time they do eat, they have to make a fortitude save or become nauseated. You will starve your target to the point that they start taking non-lethal damage. and rendering them eventually unconscious. The spell makes it sound like, or the description for the spell makes it sound like you can't actually kill the target necessarily, but I'd be inclined to be more flexible with this one. Certainly could be an interesting way for Witch to start assassinating different targets, especially if they're doing it quietly and subtly through a cloak and dagger campaign. I say subtly, but at a certain point, somebody's going to realize something is up. Hopefully, the target realizes something's up, that no matter how much they eat, they keep starving, and goes to get the curse removed. But you plan for that. You can set up something else down the line to make sure you get the job done somehow or another. Anyways, I could go on with different theories and possibilities or ideas to play this one out. Point being, it's an interesting spell, it's handy, but something that's not going to be immediately effective in combat. But I do like it for the appropriate thematic elements that it has, so it gets to be bumped up just a little bit higher. And then, right after Feast of Ashes, we have Pernicious Poison. It's a touch spell, which I really don't like. This would normally be down in the red, especially, let's go on here. It affects one creature, and it lasts 10 minutes per level. -4 on saves versus poisons, and it adds 2 rounds to a poison's duration, so something that lasts for 8 rounds will last for 10 rounds. Something that lasts for 4 minutes will last 6 minutes, on and on and on and on. And it also gives a -4 penalty to any attempts either by regular medical healing or magic to cure it. And that's really the handy part right there. This is a good one to throw down on a target. Again, I'm thinking in terms of cloak and dagger campaigns, or any part of a story where you need to be quiet and quietly take someone out, or just take them down really fast. Have the witch touch somebody and hit them with the spell, and then the rogue or somebody poisons drink or food, or the rogue poisons their blade or their crossbow bolts and starts just slamming into the target as many times as they can to deliver as many doses of poison as they can. Great way to start taking out your target relatively quietly, or at least really, really fast. Now, after this, we come down to all of our red spells. These are the ones that combat-wise are really not effective, or are really bad choices for the witch to have. And first and foremost is Cure Moderate Wounds. It's the same reason why you don't want the Cure Light Wounds back in the first level spells. You have to touch the target in combat. Touching the target in combat means you are getting way, way, way too close to combat. I'm not a fan of the 25-foot distance spells, but at least that puts them a move action away from you. This will probably put your targets, your opponents, within a 5-foot step of you, if they need to do that. If they have a reach weapon, you're already in their range and are at risk for getting just absolutely jacked up. So, don't get this one. It's not even a good wand spell, really, because the wands, the cost effectiveness versus how much benefit you get out of them, you're better off with the Wand of Cure Light Wounds, put together by a caster of high enough level to max it out. Anyways, just skip over this one. If that's just from a purely mechanical standpoint, this one just is not great. The next one is another one that's kind of interesting, but mechanically really ineffective. It's not something you'll do in combat, and there's plenty of other better choices. And that's Share Memory. You link your mind with the target if they fail their will saves, and then you can share a memory that lasts for up to 1 minute, or you can view one of the target's memories. Viewing one target memory, I mean, there's moments where this could be kind of useful, but you could just do Charm Person and have like the bard or yourself can try to convince the target to give up whatever information it is you want. Or failing that, you can, if you're more of a morally dubious party, you can just start torturing the crap out of them and try to get them to divulge information that way. Point is, you have plenty of other options. This is just not a great one. Others that might be included in this part of the list, anything that gets you in direct combat, there's one particular curse that does give some negatives, but also somehow gives some bonuses to your target as well. It's just some mechanically really odd things that I would recommend skipping over. A lot of the previous spells, you're going to be fine picking those out. Anything blue or green here, and there are plenty of other options out of the green really good spells. Not your tippy top blue tier spells that I listed all of those, but there's plenty of other spells that definitely rate green at second level, so you're going to be pretty hard pressed to make some bad choices. You're going to have to actually actively do so. And things only get more interesting from here on. There's still some bad choices coming down the line, but for the most part, a witch put together decently can make just about most of these work to one degree or another. It's more a question of which ones are more effective and which ones are going to be least effective in comparison to what you have. Coupled with the witch's many different hexing options, you can come up with some really interesting ability combos using your hexes and your various spells for casting. So right there is where we're going to wrap it up for now. I hope you folks have enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, maybe consider giving me a like down there. And hell, if you've been liking the content so far, why not consider subscribing to the channel? Can always use more members down here enjoying the content. And hell, you know what? If you didn't even like the content, leave the dislike, please. Please leave comments, give me feedback. I love to hear from you all. But with that said, once again, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. You all have yourselves a good night.